From our previous class, we talked about the expansion of brackets or the simplification of our algebraic expressions, whereby we are considering the multiplication of algebraic expressions. So if you have not watched that video, make sure that you watch it so that you understand the basics of what we have been referring to, because this is going to be a continuation from the previous class that we had. All right, so remember I referred to the expansion of brackets where you can have a condition, just like what we are given on this first part, expand and simplify. We're given the first question, the question number 1, which is 3x into x plus 3. We talked about this type of expressions whereby you're just given a single term outside of the bracket, just like this question also, or you can have a condition where you multiply two brackets of the binomial in this case, or you can have two brackets, one being a binomial and the other one being a trinomial. We had a condition of that nature, and also the simplification of questions whereby you can be able to expand the first bracket and subtract the second bracket. So just make sure that you watch the first video, because here it is just going to be a revision, and I'm just going to pick one or two questions from these questions. Like I said, please work on these questions and let me know on the questions that you've got a challenge so that we can be able to simplify those questions together. All right, so number 1, just a recap. We are given in this case 3x into x plus 3. So when you are given this type of a question whereby you've got a single term that is outside of a bracket, remember I said you just have to multiply each and every term by this term outside of the bracket. So you multiply this term by 3x, also multiply here by 3x. So this 3x is going to multiply every term inside the bracket that you are given in this case. All right, so let us multiply 3x times x. Remember, if you are given x and x, it means we've got the exponent of 1 and 1. So it is going to give us x squared. We are going to add 1 plus 1 because the bases are the same. If you have got a condition of x squared being multiplied to x, it means this is x to the exponent of 1. So at that condition, you are going to add 2 plus 1, which is going to be exponent of 3. I think we talked about this in the previous class. So like I said, this is just a continuation, guys. So 3x and x is going to give us 3x squared. Then we move on to 3x and 3 in this case. All right, so we multiply 3 times 3, which is going to give us 9. Then we've got x as a variable. So that means we are done in this case. So we are multiplying a binomial in this case and having a binomial at the end. We've got two terms on our final answer. All right, so this is the same scenario or the same situation that you are given on question number 2. So you can just try that, simplify your terms, and you see that you've got one and the same thing. All right, so just want us to move to question number 9, where we have got the bigger exponents there to consider. But if you've got any question that has got a challenge that you worked and you've got a challenge on it, let me know so that we can revise that question in our next class. So we are given on question number 9, 2x to the exponent of 4. So this is the question that you're going to be having, minus 3y to the exponent of 2, in this case, into 3x to the exponent of 4 plus 2y to the exponent of 2. So don't be scared of these exponents of 4 that we see, that about what type of an expression is this that I'm actually working with. All right, it is the same situation, guys. All right, remember from the previous class, what I said is that the first bracket is going to multiply the second bracket. So it means the part of 2x to the exponent of 4 is going to multiply everything in this bracket. All right, the part of minus 3y squared is going also to multiply everything in this bracket. All right, so you can represent this way. This 2x to the exponent of 4, it multiplies here. It also multiplies this term. All right, so that means in this case we are going to have, if we multiply, that is 2x to the exponent of 4, which is multiplying 3x to the exponent of 4, the first term and the first term there. So if you have to check here, we're just going to multiply our numbers 2 and 3, which is 6. Then for x to the exponent of 4 and x to the exponent of 4, these ones, you are multiplying the same basis. So we are going to add your exponents. So that's 4 plus 4, which is 8. So that is going to be 6x to the exponent of 8. All right. We move on to 2x to the exponent of 4. This time is going to multiply 2y squared. So they're just going to multiply 2 and 2, which is going to be what? A positive 4. Take note, this is x, this is y, so they cannot be added. So just going to write as it is x to the exponent of 4, y to the exponent of 2. You are not going to add anything because the bases, they are the same. So just write as it is. Right, so we are done with the first part of what? 2x to the exponent of 4. It has multiplied everything. So it is the same situation that we are going to have with minus 3y squared. Take note, there is a negative there. So you must consider that negative. So it must multiply this term, and also it must multiply this term. All right. So what does it mean? We are going to multiply minus 3 and positive 3. So minus 3 and positive 3, that's a negative 9. But take note, here there is y squared and here there is x. Take note, this is x. X to the exponent of 4, and this is y to the exponent of 2. So these ones cannot be multiplied together. Like we cannot add an exponent, just like what we had on the previous case of 2x to the exponent of 4 and 2y to the exponent of what? Of 2. It is the same situation that we have. So meaning to say, we're supposed to write this as minus 9 y squared x to the exponent of 4 like that. But because already the first term, we wrote the first being x, followed by y there. So try by all means to have the same situation. So you're going to have this as x to the exponent of 4, y to the exponent of 2, so that you can properly see that these are like terms. Because if you are given a condition like this, you cannot sometimes see that you've got like terms because of the order that you just wrote here, but they are just like terms. All right. So let us move on to the last part, which is minus 3y squared is going to multiply positive 2y squared. So it's minus 3 and a positive 2, which is going to give us a negative 6. But there we have got y to the exponent of 2 and y to the exponent of 2. So that means we are going to have y to the exponent of 4. We add the exponents. So that's y to the exponent of 4 in this case. All right, so that is what you're going to have at the end. So this is the simplification that is you're going to have. You are supposed to be very, very careful when working with your exponents. When you're multiplying, you add the exponents. So it's simply x to the exponent of a times x to the exponent of b. It gives us x to the exponent of a plus b. As long the bases are the same, you are going to add your what? You are going to add your exponents. So that is the situation or the scenario that we are simply applying. So on this part, we can now see that we have got like terms. So you can consider the like terms, which is this part in the middle part here. And the part of x here and the part of y, you can just leave it. The part of x on the outer part, the part of y on the outer part. So this is at the beginning and this at the beginning. You just combine these terms that are inside. All right. So if you're to combine this, we are going to have, because these are like terms, x to the exponent of 4, x to the exponent of 4, y to the exponent of 2, y to the exponent of 2. So these are like terms because they have got the same exponents. So 4 minus 9, that is minus 5. So you're going to have minus 5, x to the exponent of 4, y to the exponent of 2. So you're going to just use your calculator in case of any simplification that you are not sure about. So you can just subtract 4 minus 9 in this case. All right. So you're going to subtract 9, which is going to give us negative 5. All right. So that is going to be a negative 5. But we've got x to the exponent of 4 and y to the exponent of 2. So we are supposed to consider that. And the last term that we have cannot be added to any term. So we're just going to write as minus 6y to the exponent of 4 like this. All right. So these terms cannot be combined. We cannot add any of these terms. So these, we refer them as what? As unlike terms. So these are totally unlike terms, there's nothing that we can do. Just have to leave it like that. So it is the same condition or the same situation that we have here on question number 10. If you are to consider this part of our question number 10, you are going to see that we have got the same situation, just like the question number 9. So I want you guys to try them, these questions, and you can even try by all means to just type your answer on the comment section so that we can see if we've got same answers if we are moving together, so that you can see on yourself to see if you are actually understanding these laws from the laws of exponents and also how to expand. All right, so we move on to a condition. We also talked about this part of having a binomial expanding a trinomial. So we had a condition like that, but I'm just going to try by all means to work much harder questions. Let us just say we've got a question like number 7 that we have here. All right, so I refer to these questions, typical questions on the introduction. Just make sure that you watch it so that you'll be able to understand. All right, on question number 7, we are given the bracket of 3x minus 2y into the bracket of 9x squared plus 6xy plus 4y squared. So this is what we are given. So if we are to consider the simplification or the expansion that we can have here, is that we are supposed to have the 3x expanding everything in the other bracket. So the 3x has to expand this part, it must multiply this, it can multiply this, it is also supposed to multiply this term. So you are supposed to multiply everything in the second bracket by 3x. You do the same thing with minus 2y. All right, so let us start with 3x first. 3x and 9x squared. So we're going to multiply 3 and 9, which is going to be 27 in this case, all right? But like I said, you can just use a calculator. So we're going to have 27, but x and x squared. So this is to the exponent of 1. So you add 1 plus 2, which is going to be x to the exponent of 3, because the bases are the same. All right, you do the same thing, 3x and 6xy in this case, right? So this is plus 6xy. So we're going to multiply 3 and 6, which is going to be 18. Then the moment you multiply this x and this x, this is x to the exponent of 1, and this is x to the exponent of 1. So we're going to add 1 plus 1, which is going to be 2. So that's x squared. And this y here cannot be multiplied in terms of just we are not going to have, and we are not having a term with y here. So you cannot add it to any term. So we're just going to have it as it is. We do the same thing with the last term, the 3x, and this 4y to the exponent of 2. So as you can see, here we just have y, here we just have x. So we're just going to multiply our numbers, 3 times 4, which is a positive 12. So we are going to have a positive 12x and y squared. All right, so this is x to the exponent of 1, which is same as what? Which is same as x. And also try to maintain the order of your letters. This is x followed by y. The same thing, x must be followed by y on your terms so that you can properly see where you have the like terms. All right, so we are done with this part of 3x. It is multiplied everything. Then we move on to the negative 2y is going to multiply this term. Also, it is going to multiply this term. Also, it is going to multiply this term. So that means we are going to have negative 2y times 9x squared, which is a negative in this case, all right? So that's negative 18 x squared y in this case, all right? Then we move on to the negative 2y multiplied to the 6x to then y here. So it's going to be positive, negative, that's negative 12, all right? So we've got x. Then if you consider here, we've got y and also we've got y. So that's y times y, which is going to be y squared, all right? So this part, we talked about it, guys. Then the last term is negative 2 and a positive 4, which is going to be negative 8. Then that's y and y squared, which is going to be y to the exponent of 3. So we also add, this is 1, this is 2. So 1 plus 2, that is going to be a 3. Then in this case, we can collect our like terms. as we can see, we do not have any other term that can be added to 27x cubed. We do not have any x cubed. So this term is just going to remain as it is. That is 27 x cubed in this case. All right. Then we check the part where we have x squared and y. So we also have here x squared y here. So this is 18x squared y, this one, and this is minus 18x squared y. All right, so that is going to give us a 0. 18 minus 18, that's a 0. All right, we move on to the part of xy squared. This one is xy squared, so this is 12 plus 12, and this is minus 12. So 12 minus 12, that's a 0 again. So we are going to be left with this term at the end, which is minus 8y cubed. All right, so that is what you're going to have at the end. And I also refer to say we are going to see the type of factorization later on when we talk about factorization of this type of expression that will give us this type of a bracket at the end. So we shall see that with time. So I want you to try as much questions as you can. This is the same scenario that you have on number 8. All this part, let us just try to expand and see if we are together. All right, the C part, we've got questions such as expand and simplify. I also talked about these typical questions where you are given to expand and simplify. It is on a condition whereby if you are to check maybe the first question, you are supposed to expand this bracket and also expand the other bracket. Then you simplify your terms by collecting the like terms. That is, you are back to addition and subtraction of what? Of expressions, where you are adding or subtracting your expressions. All right, let us consider the first question. We are given in this case 2x into the bracket of 3x minus 4y, in this case minus the bracket of 7 x squared minus 2xy, like this. So if I'm given to expand this and simplify, I'm going to consider to say, all right, the first bracket that I'm having here of 3x minus 4y, this bracket, it is affected by a single term, which is a binomial term. So this is affecting a binomial term. So we're just going to expand this 2x here. It also expand this part. So meaning to say every term has to be multiplied by what? By 2x out of the bracket. All right, so let us multiply and see. 2x squared times 3x. So we are going to have 2 times 3, which is 6. Then x and x, this is 2x and 3x. So x is 1, here it's 1. So we're going to have this as x squared. All right, we move on. 2x minus, times minus 4y in this case. So if we multiply 2 times minus 4, that is negative 8. Then here we are going to have x and y just multiply together. We cannot add any exponent there. So it is going to be minus 8xy. So meaning to say we have expanded this bracket by what? By 2x, the number that is outside, or the term outside of the bracket. But now you have a question to say, what about this question? Which term am I going to consider that is outside of the bracket? All right, if the term is not given, or if the number is not written, it means there is a 1 that is there. So meaning to say the number that we are going to consider here is negative 1. So we are going to multiply negative 1 times x squared. So it's simply number to the number. So negative 1 times 7, that's negative 7 x squared. Just like what we had here, the negative 1 is going to multiply here. It is also going to multiply here. So that means we've got negative 1 times 7x squared, which is negative, then negative 1 and negative 2xy. So negative, negative, that's a positive. So it's going to be plus 2xy. So at this condition, we can see that we have got like terms to consider. That is the condition when they are saying simplify. After that, you are supposed to simplify by considering like terms. I've got x squared. I also have x squared here. I have got xy here. I've got xy here. These are like terms. So I'm going to take the terms with x squared. That is, I'm having 6x squared minus 7x squared. Then I'm going to have the terms with xy and xy in this case, all right? So this is minus 8xy like this plus 2xy. So what you're going to simply do is to subtract, all right? If you do not understand your directed numbers, just use your calculator. 6 minus 7 is going to give us minus 1. So it is supposed to be minus 1x squared, which is simply minus x squared. This negative 1 is not important, so it's going to be minus x squared. All right, we do the same thing on this 8. So we've got minus 8xy plus 2xy. So we are simply adding the numbers that we have, which is minus 8 plus 2, which is going to give us a minus 6. And everything is going to remain with what? With xy. So that is the simplification part that we are having. That is the simplifying part. You are supposed to work now with your like terms. The way that you understand your like terms, you are supposed to consider that. But first thing is that you are supposed to expand your brackets. You are supposed to expand the given brackets. Then after that, you collect your like terms. So we've got different scenarios that we have. So I just want you to try as much questions as you can. Just going to focus also on this question number 2, where we are given, in this case, the bracket of, in this case, that is 5y plus 1, everything to the exponent of 2 minus, this is 3y plus 4, all right, into the bracket, all right, so that is into the bracket of 2 minus 3y like this. So it is the same situation, just like what we had from the previous case. But here, do not make a confusion of raising this to the exponent of 2 and also raising 1 to the exponent of 2. This squared that we see here, the square that is to the exponent of 2 or to the power of 2, means we are supposed to have 2 brackets that we are going to multiply. All right, this bracket has to multiply itself. Okay, so we are going to have this as 5y plus 1 into the bracket of, again, 5y plus 1. So we are given x. If it was to the exponent of 3, it means we're going to have another bracket again. So the number, the power here is the number of times that you're going to have that term multiplying itself. All right. So this is minus. We've got the bracket here of 3y plus 4 into 2 minus 3y like this. All right. So just like the previous case that we had, it's either you are going to use this negative at once to multiply the first bracket or the second bracket, or you are going to expand the given brackets that you have here and use the negative at the end on your expansion. I explained also about that in our introduction. So you choose which part is best for you. All right, so as for me here, I'm just going to expand the given brackets, all right? Then we use the negative at the end. All right, so let us do that. So the first part, it does not have any effect because we do not have any sign affecting these two. So on these two, you are just going to expand your brackets as usual, all right? So here we are going to multiply 5y squared to the other bracket. That means we're going to have 5y, sorry, to the other bracket. That means we're going to have 5y and 5y, which is 25, 5 times 5. That is 25y times y here, which is going to give us y squared. All right, then we move on to 5y is going to multiply 1. So that's 5y times 1, which is going to give us positive 5y. So we are done with this part of 5y multiplying each term in the second bracket. You are supposed to do the same thing with positive 1. So positive 1 is to multiply this bracket. Positive 1 is to multiply this bracket. So that is 1 times 5, which is going to be 5y in this case, right? Then 1 times 1, which is going to be a positive 1. But on this part, like I explained, that the negative, it is supposed to multiply whatever that you're going to have as your answer from this expansion. So you can open the bracket because you know that the minus has to affect every term that you are going to obtain here. Yes, you're expanding your brackets, but again, there is a minus that has to act a role, or that has to act a part in your expansion. So you just open a bracket for that negative to multiply everything. But how to expand these brackets? It's simply one and the same thing as what we did here. That is, the 3y is going to multiply everything in this bracket, just like the previous case. So we are going to have 3y times 2. That's 3 times 2, which is 6 y in this case, all right? Then we've got 3y times minus 3y. So 3 times minus 3, that's negative 9 y squared. Here it's 1 and this is 1. So it will be 1 plus 1, which is y squared. So we've got negative 9y squared. You do the same thing on this number that we have, which is 4. So 4 is going to multiply 2, remember, and this 4 is going to multiply minus 3. So that's 4 times 2, which is 8. 4 times minus 3y, which is minus 12. So this is going to be minus 12y. As you can see, we just have a single term, which is y. We do not have like another y, so we just going to multiply the numbers 4 and minus 3, which is minus 12. Y is going to remain as it is. All right, so that's what you're going to have. So as you can see, 4 multiplies everything in the second bracket. Here 3y multiplies everything in the second bracket. So we can collect our like terms. All right, so from this part, we have got like terms to be considered. That is 5y and 5y in this case. All right, so that's 5 plus 5, which is 10. So we're going to have 25y squared plus 5 plus 5. That is 10y plus 1 minus. You consider also to simplify. Yes, we can simplify before you multiply by this negative that we see here. We can just try to simplify. We've got the highest exponent there, which is on y squared, is the term of what? Of minus 9y squared. All right. Then we've got like terms to consider, 6y here and minus 12. So we're going to consider 6 minus 12y. So 6 minus 12, that is minus 6y in this case, all right? Then we've got 8 as a constant. So this 8 here has got no term to be added to. We're just going to write this as what? As 8. So this is what you're going to have in your simplification. So from this part, we can see that since we've got a negative to consider, yeah, we can expand everything by the negative. And like I said, this is same as a negative 1. So you can consider expanding the brackets, but the first part here is going to remain as it is. But I have to expand now this part of the bracket by negative 1. Negative 1 has to multiply everything in this bracket, every term that we have in that bracket. So that means we are going to have negative 1 to negative 9, which is positive 9y squared. Negative 1 and negative 6 is going to be a positive 6y in this case. Negative 1 and a positive 8, this one is going to give us a negative 8. So that is the consideration. What is going to expand the bracket is the negative 1. So this part remains as it is, which is this part, it remains as it is. But now the part of this bracket is to be affected by what? By negative 1. So from there, we can see that we have got like terms to be considered. Consider that part of like terms, we've got y squared, and also here we have got y squared. So we're going to add 25y squared plus 9y squared, right? So remember, we considered the part of 25y squared and this part of 9y squared. So we also have like terms 10y here and positive 6y in this case, all right? So we're going to consider 10y and positive 6y. So that's plus 10y plus 6y. Then we also have the constants to consider. This is a 1 and this is a minus 8. So you're going to have plus 1 minus 8. Once you have this, actually, you were supposed to just have the answer from this part here. You're just supposed to give us the final answer. But just because we want all of us to properly understand what is happening. We are simply collecting the like terms, the part of y squared and y squared, the part of y together. After that, you are going to consider combining your terms because these are like terms. So you can simply add 25 plus 9, which is going to give us 34 in this case. So that is 34y squared, or you can just use your calculator, like I said, on a condition that you do not understand your values, just use your calculator, which is going to be 34 in this case, all right? Then we move on to 10y plus 6, which is 16, or you can just add 10 plus 6, which is going to give us what? 16. So that is going to give us 16y. Then 1 minus 8, we have to subtract this, which is minus 7. So that's 1 minus 8 like this. It is going to give us what? A negative 7. So that means we have got the corresponding value. We have got the answer in this case. And as you can see, our answer is a trinomial where we have got 3 terms at the end. 1, 2, 3. All right. So we just have to work with different questions from your question papers and also revise from your textbooks and see how do they ask these typical questions, because you're supposed to know like how do they ask these typical questions and how are you supposed to simplify for a different question that you're given. So I want us to try as much questions as we can. Like I said, there are so many questions to consider. Let us try to revise, work with more questions. If there's a question that has got a challenge, let me know so that we can work with it on a separate class.